So last week, 10:15 demos, Arcadius showed us the URL rewriting module, and I believe someone had a topic admin menu. Yeah, I think Zoltan, that's why Zoltan was here. Mike, I don't see anyone right now, but I put it on the menu. Aha. Then second, 2024. Demos. Demo. Repeats. It is here. So I'm assuming that I added the admin menu on the list of topics because last week we couldn't talk about it. What else? That's its status. Actually, there was a discussion, but nothing got merged. Then we have OrchardCore. Oh. And 15 here. Improve the scrolling in BagPart Sorting. CSS, because my mouse is too sensitive, so I need to change that. Sortable.js, date, everything's all done. FYI, I put admin menu on the list of topics. Minor changes to recent PRs. That's a filter. Okay. Warning. Okay, thank you. Beautiful. This one is just adding. It fits on the line. So, but it's on the line, but it's in the second line. Okay. Use ElasticsearchConstants.DefaultAnalyzer when it's possible. Is it possible? From Sham, constant, blah, 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 blah. Same thing, startup, that's the constant, and that's using constant. Using default analyzer. Where is default analyzer here? Standard, simple keyword, space, pattern, language, fingerprint, custom, stop analyzer, default, standard, default is standard. Okay, so we have a constant for that, and now new constants. Okay. Support multiple group IDs in shape result. So this one, if I remember, is such that you can target multiple group IDs with a shape, but also be able to say render in any shape if no group ID is defined, and also this group ID if it's defined. And to say render in any shape if no group ID is defined, like if no group ID is required, then you use the empty string on the group ID, which is a default. And now when you add a group, it will say, okay, I will only display with this group. But if you want to say add a group, well, display for this group, or when no group is required, like default, like no group or this group, then you can pass the empty string and the group URL. So that's the change. Oh, and I think we have and during this merge with PR, I think put some comments in Microsoft to them. Where are the comments? Did you keep the comments? Or was it, it was there, okay, it was later. This one first was to support multiple groups, and there is another PR here, allow specifying a group to render a shape, where we added more comments because it was getting too complicated to understand what the code was doing and what we could do with the code. So now we explain why we do the checks for the user entity. And last week we had a discussion during triage about string values, which might not be well known. So it's a struct that can contain one or multiple strings. And when you have a small amount of strings to manipulate, and it can be also one usually, but it could potentially have multiple strings, then it's better to use that than a collection. So it will allocate less, and it will be also faster to compare and to concat and everything. Mike and I did a few benchmarks, and we saw that it was much quicker to manipulate a few strings than creating a list or a hash set. We expected it to be quicker because that was the goal of the string values, but we measured it. Mike, you don't say anything, you feel free to interrupt and add more content.
You're covering everything.
So that, then allow admin to disable two-factor authentication. A new permission, yeah, disable two-factor authentication permission. And if you have this permission, so last time I looked at the PR, we didn't have this permission yet. But now there is a permission. If you have this permission, you can say, well, this user doesn't need two-factor auth right now because they lost their token, so let's approve them. Let them get in the system. Does it work? There is a view. Where is the view? User send confirmation action menu. So there is this thing. Send a verification email to a user. And this thing here, user send confirmation action menu. It's a new menu. Oh, yeah, I think you converted some actions into a menu because there were too many actions, right?
Yes. So on the admin UI, we had a lot of buttons on the same row. So we wrapped them inside a actions button now. And so only the edit and the view button are visible. But buttons like delete or unlock or disable two-factor authentication will be part of actions now.
User two-factor authentication display driver. This one. This is the one that we inject the link into the action menu. Okay. Users with permission can disable two-factor authentication. Users want to disable two-factor authentication for users. Can now disable two-factor authentication for their users directly from the users only. Okay. Support webm in the list of a load file extensions. So this is just the documentation about what you can type, but this is also in the default list here. And so there is a default list in ASP.NET Core, and I know they are very strict about adding things to ASP.NET Core. File types. So list. Yeah, probably the source code check, but I'm not sure they added this one. I know we have some that are not in the ASP.NET Core defaults. This one adds support for Elasticsearch Token Filters. So now we can configure, and there are a bunch of filters and some refactoring also to use the same kind of code between filters and analyzers. So mapping is called index info because that's the name given in Elasticsearch. Only changes filter. Now in options, filter, we can pass a custom JSON object that we should see somewhere. These are the filters because we saw some JSON in the PR. Which I don't see here. Or maybe this was changed to some code. Like this thing here. I thought it was some raw JSON, but here it's building some JSON just using C#. I'm confused. I saw the options and everything. No, didn't I see that? There are some options showing the kind of JSON you can pass, and it was forwarded automatically to Elasticsearch because that was the format, and that's why it's accepting a JSON object. I'm confused, or maybe the documentation was just for analyzers, but so that's really good to have some docs at least to explain what's the new feature, what it does, and how to configure it. That's just a name change. Okay, well, we'll see next week if that was added. Elasticsearch geolocation type addition, so a new type. The map info, that's all the new things, dynamic templates mapping for the things. Geofeed indexer, index sender adds a location index by default. We'll trust Mike Williamson on this one. Geolocation type addition. Cool. New contributor. I was specifying the block triangular shape with that earlier. Fix content type draftable setting. Content type setting display driver. So it was not saved. New thanks template, improve the bug and feature request template. So this one is just if you want to spam the repository with thank you notes, right? Token.
Pretty much, yeah. This is about people expressing their thanks, and which is something to feel good about. But on a more tangible advantage notes, it also provides them a way to tell us how they use OrchardCore. So there are a couple of questions in this issue template, and they can tell that, hey, I use OrchardCore for whatever, and I heard about OrchardCore from somewhere. Just a small thing. I've seen this in another project, and I figured that it would be useful. Now we can see whether people actually use it.
Cool. So did you file the template already?
Sorry?
Did you file an issue with the template?
No, I haven't thanked OrchardCore, but I did try it out. I mean, it works.
Okay. Update and Kellogg's material. Bump races. Oh, that's a right. That's in JavaScript thing. Okay. And Kellogg's update and Arcadush. Well, I should merged Arcadush PR, which is not just Arcadush PR. So what's new on this one, Mike, since last week?
Nothing. One of the main things is that we no longer have pagination on the roles. Instead, we have a way to drag and drop the roles. So you can actually change the sorting order using a drag and drop. That's really the main thing. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same.
The right rule handler. Saving, saved, updating. Why is that? It's like a content item handler, but
What is what? I'm sorry?
the handler, like all these events, it's like the content item handlers, but not for content items.
Because we need to listen to events. I don't know exactly why, but there's like when we create a new, because when you create like a rule, you can create it from the UI, you can also create it from the recipe. And so this way we're able to populate the rule based on its type, because we have different types of rules, and someone can also implement their own rule too. Though we can utilize these handlers to be able to, add. I mean, you could probably look up one of the implementations and you'll see how we're using it. Like when we're creating one, we're setting the owner who created it and the time it was created. It's an example. I don't really know or remember all of them.
It's kind of scary, all these things just for a rewrite rule. Like, do we have to create 20 context classes and interfaces and services every time we have an entity to store? That's weird.
Not really. Mainly it's just so it looks and acts as a query module. So that way we don't introduce a different UI or different structure for it. And with this setup also, we can easily add more rules in the future, whether we add it or someone decide to add it on their own. So that's really the main idea, is just how can we make it more dynamic for future uses.
Exclude. What is a rule?
It's an ASP.NET Core thing, and that rule is to allow us to exclude rewriting admin rules, because you don't want to accidentally rewrite an admin rule and then break byte.
Manage URL rewriting. That's bad. Yeah, three methods just for the comma, right? Because there is an append join values or something like that, what we have already passed a list of values, and the char you want to happen in the middle. So we are just doing that just to say the comma char. Be careful because we have the command and there is parentheses, then there is the space, then there is the pipe, then there is all these things. And get NM value. And a JSON node. Okay. Okay, new feature. You are writing done. Topics. Admin menu. What is it?
There's an issue. So there has been talks. It's over the years that we should somehow, instead of scattering all the settings all around the menus, like right now, if you want security settings, you have a security tab you would go to and you'll see security settings, and then you'll pick whichever one you want. If you want other settings, like site settings or general settings, you'll be able to go to like under configuration and settings, and then click on settings and pick and choose. The drawback with that approach, or the argument that think it's a drawback, is that it's scattered all over, and unless you really know where you're looking, it's really hard to know where the settings is going to be. From a new user perspective, that's the case. But if you've been using Orchard for a while, you probably know where all the settings, and you can find them fairly quick. So there has been, some thoughts of how can we reorganize that menu to try to make it, easier on the user, and also, on a group it in such a way so it makes sense. By looking at like other UIs or other platforms, just to have more ideas of what can we do with it. So that's mainly the discussion, and we're just trying to figure out what approach do we want to take, and if we want to make a change or not, and if we do, then how should really this menu look like at the end of the day. So that's a discussion. If you have any questions, I do have some, like a prototype that I want to share about that topic. But first, let's see others think about, rearranging the menu, if anyone cares.
Don't touch my menu. At the same time, I don't use the menu, so it's not my menu.
So you don't use it, your opinion don't count.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Users win, but when we design the menu, we have opinions and ideas, and we did some back and forth. And we had Orchard one also in mind, so we had reasons.
And that's why this discussion is that, do we need to make that effort or not? Is there a better way? Is it more user friendly? Is it worth a change or not? So I think that's where all the discussion.
A comment I would make is,
go ahead.
Where are people complaining about the menu and they can't find anything?
I had a couple people on my side complain. I complained years ago, like 3 years ago, when I was just getting started with Orchard. Was it that? I think it was even probably before that. Yeah, maybe. So
but without even thinking about, you have good arguments or wrong, like should we discuss decisions whenever someone has thinks something is wrong, or should we also wait for people to agree on changes and people to say, like nobody's saying, no, I think like this value is correct. So the silent majority, if there is any silent majority, like people who are happy, sometimes they don't say anything, right? Like we don't have a template to say, I'm happy with the menu, keep it, don't file another issue to change it. So I'm worried about that anything that someone will complain about, we will try, oh, let's fix that. But if it's an opinion,
Well, I
then
mean,
we'll always have.
I think everything has to be evaluated, right? Does it make sense or not, right? At the end of the day, if everything is perfect from the first go around at it, then we don't need to fix any bugs. We don't need to improve or nothing because we're just so perfect, right? But typically what happens is that you roll something out. You're thinking, oh, it's a great user experience. And then you roll it out and then you kind of get the taste. If there's a better way or a way to improve it, then we go back and we fix it, right?
Yes,
so
I don't
that's the
want to
thing.
fix something that is not broken either. And I'm afraid
Sure,
about
I mean,
people
nothing
not
in the
saying
UI
anything
is
because,
broken.
yeah, but not fixing something that works for most people and trying to fix it maybe will break it for some people. So that's my concern. Like I would like to see people saying, if not, there is a problem, at least if there is a suggestion, more people saying, yes, I agree that it's better than before. So
Yeah, I mean,
I hope we have
that's
that
definitely
before we do a change.
a good argument. Yeah, that's definitely a good argument, right? But I think we posted it years ago, and we haven't got we got some feedback from some, but not so much. So anyway, I just want to share a prototype, and then we'll discuss. This is just something like more of I just want to kind of play around with it and kind of see what ideas I can come up with. So you see my screen?
One tangible thing I would add, I added the general ones under the issue, is that instead, there's what's that tools menu there?
Well, that's part of my prototype.
Okay, so I would have a tools and a configuration or settings, whatever you call it, menu, because that's something that I've seen WordPress doing, and I think it's quite useful because currently we have two kinds of things under the configuration menu. Well, first of all, we also have a settings menu under configuration, which is bad. We shouldn't have that because settings and configuration is the same thing. But we also have two kinds of things under a configuration menu. We have configuration and we have technical features that you as a normal user wouldn't use. It's not about content. It's about maintenance or something like that. Chief example being import, export, and everything related to that. And what WordPress does is that, and I think what we should do, is that settings, the really configuration that you can change that affects the behavior of the app is under settings menu. And there's a separate tools menu where you have, well, tools, technical tools that you can do, that you can use to do something to the system. Again, chief example being import export. I would probably also put some of the media related features there. So that's one thing I would change. Otherwise, I don't have any concrete suggestions.
I think, well, this idea of tools, you suggested it, and I've seen it in WordPress, and I actually liked it. I thought about it in the past as well. So I think to me, it makes sense. So what I did here, I kind of moved the configuration menu out. Instead, I introduced tools. So under tools, there is a menu called settings, and there's other tools that you could potentially add. Basically, what I did here, anything that was previously under configuration, I moved it under tools. Okay, but I added this settings, and I think Zoltan is saying to put this out here, which absolutely perfectly fine. We can do that. The reason why I did it here is just so that way we don't really need to show yet another menu item for that. That will be just part of the tools. But yes, we can move that part of its own thing. In fact, we might have a button here even that just say settings, right? So it's not even part of this menu at all. Instead, we'll just have a setting button here that just takes it to settings. So what this does, so if you click on settings, it's actually taking you to another page that has settings on the side. So you have a way to group all your settings in a different menu. So this is a separate menu only made for the settings, just so we don't have to render, well, first, we don't have to render a longer menu, like to create a lot of HTML on every single page request. That's one thing. And another thing is that you have one page here that you're able to just configure just everything settings related to the app. You'll be able to go look at or do it here. I kind of tried to group things as much as, you know, logical. I didn't really spend a lot of time grouping. I just kind of did it for, like I said, prototype, and we can, you know, change if that's the route we want to go with. We can change things, but like if you click on general here, you'll see general information or general settings, localization, authentication. So by the way, I enabled all the features that are available in Orchard just so I can kind of see. So in here, I have all the authentication related settings. If you click on security, you'll be able to see all the security related settings. So this menu right here, we can add whatever we want to, and we don't have to group everything like I did, right? I mean, I group things, but we don't have to follow the same thing. We can put it on the top node, but I thought it'll be easier or nicer to have them in such a grouped way, where, you know, like logical grouping, like one group only. So we don't need to have nested grouping here, just a single group. The menu will support nested group, I should say, but I don't think it makes sense, or we need to. We can just have it settings here and it's on the side. So that's one thing. So doing that, what we achieved is that under the security here, now you only see roles and users. In the past, we had like login settings and other setting related stuff. You click on this search. Here we had also settings for search. That now it's out from here. I actually think also the design should probably be called appearance instead of design. But one other thing that I took out from here, from the content, I actually took out the configuration for the content. So if you look under the tools, we also have an option for content definitions, and then there's content type and content part as part of the tools, because these are tool related things that you need for the site. What other settings? I forgot what else I did. I think that's pretty much it. So anything in the configuration, I moved it in under tools, and then settings, as you can see, has its own menu, and each setting group, just like we did before, can have its own tabs. Like in this case, we have tabs, so you can have tabs for every one of those pages. Obviously, you know, this can be cleaned up, you know, like as Zafran mentioned, maybe this should be at the root level, or maybe we move it somewhere else. Like I mentioned earlier, maybe put it right here for easier access, to be away from all this, because tools and settings, maybe those are completely different things. So maybe here we put the menu on the menu, but at the very bottom, we'll have the settings. So that way you can access settings separately from the menu. And then any tool related stuff goes in here. You know, we could probably subgroup these things. Like we have SMS test, we have email test, or maybe we can create like a tab here for communication or testing. And then like under testing, we can put anything related to testing. But again, this is all, you know, it's just all as a prototype, just to see if this is something we want to pursue. Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? Personally, I like this. Because now we have settings all grouped up, and I think it makes sense. I think they're easier. They're separate from the main menu. We are loading a lot less HTML as well, because before all these have to have menu items on every single request in the admin. So we take that out. We're reducing the page size, the load of the page size. Probably not going to make any difference, but at least it will probably slightly. And really the main thing is, to me, is having the settings in one page. It's very appealing. I think it just makes a lot of sense. You know, we look at any devices, you know, if you look up your iPhone, right, or any phone, you're likely to see the settings under settings, right? That's where things go. That's where people kind of, when you say settings, you kind of go, and that's the settings for everything. Everything is subgroup, but it's under settings. So that's the thing here. So I don't know, thoughts, ideas. You guys like, dislike this? Is there a way we can improve that? Is there a better way than this prototype? So I don't know. I'm open.
Okay, I go because I raised my hand first. Just following Zoltan's comments about settings versus configuration. So today we have these two sections. We have something called settings and something called configuration.
Yeah, we have configuration menu, and then under it we have a settings menu.
Okay. Then I have another question, which is related to site building features. Example, content definition, workflows, queries. So these features, these views, let you build the site. Okay, like I want to use the word configuration, but because today it's not in the configuration section, but to build the sites, like site building, like creating templates is also site building. This is not content management. This is not settings. This is really actions where you provide some behavior to the site, right? I see here we have workflows at the first level. We have content definitions in settings. There is design. So these things, to me, they could be under something that show that let people build the site, like the behavior of the site. And then where is the difference between that and the content and the main menu? So I don't know, but I would not like to see content definition not at the same level as workflows, for instance. That bothers me to see content definition in settings, because for me, settings is really something like you see in email connection strings, like email settings or media settings, authentication settings, like how to authenticate.
Like under tools, you're asking like a site builder, or like a site builder, instead of having workflow here, move that out and put it under
saying that not everything should be settings, because if you want to merge something, I'm like, if it was not merged before, maybe it's a bad word, but what I want to call configuration, which maybe was not called configuration, but like build your site, something to configure the behavior of your site, which is an active configuration, like creating workflows, creating types, creating templates. Whereas something like AuditTrail, which is just reporting, right? Maybe there are settings for AuditTrail, but AuditTrail is reporting. It's not, we're not building with AuditTrail. We're not enriching the logic of the site with that. So maybe I'd like to see these things grouped and not part of just settings. But I don't want to change the name of the site and to change my workflows in the same way for me. Or I don't know, the list of available media types and my content types, to me, they are completely different things. So I don't know in terms of what it is for. So that's my first comment. My super bad comment is about the thing you have on the right here, the called settings on the right with the new menu. I really don't want yet another menu. I just want the menu we have and the navigation we have, because that's what we design, and that's what people are used to, and nobody ever complain about we are missing yet another menu. We have a menu on the left. There is inside the page navigation with tabs and sections, and I'm pretty sure we can fit everything there. Because it's a mess even more. Like, it's like, what do you put on the external navigation? I'm lost. And there is something you don't
I mean,
show
there's
you.
nothing to be lost. I mean, it's settings. If it's settings, you put it in the settings menu, which goes on that one setting page.
Yeah, I disagree.
It has nothing to do. Okay.
Then there is the thing that I don't see here that's super useful when you have a large menu, which is I think Antoine made that, the search box at the top left, where you can search for a menu item.
You have to click on admin settings and enable it to see it.
So because if you start having lots of things in the menu and you can't navigate it, it's very useful to find something. So you type Twitter and boom, you have the menu item to configure your Twitter.
Yeah, that's something we can definitely add.
It's there.
That's, well, yeah, for this menu.
On the left, yes.
Correct, for this menu. I'm talking
And
about.
that's why I'm saying for this menu, but I'm like, today that's the menu. That's why I'm saying that's super useful for the menu we have. I really don't want to add yet another menu.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also just keep one menu. And just to clarify, I was arguing to have both set tools and the settings menu. As Sebastian also said, I believe. And thirdly, by the way, I think the app metaphor on your phone is pretty much like what we have now, because there you have the settings menu, the settings app for all settings for the system, like we have it currently. But each of the apps, they have their own menus with their own settings too. Now you can have something like notification settings for each app, which is still a system configuration under the system app. But if you want to configure what you get notified for Facebook Messenger, you still set that in the Facebook Messenger app, not in the settings app.
The Facebook settings will be under settings. So everything is under settings, but it's a subgroup.
I understand what you're doing here, but I was just reflecting that you said that this is how it happens on your smartphone. But I'm saying that that's not what happens on your smartphone, because if you have like Facebook Messenger on your phone, then its settings will be in the Facebook Messenger app, not in the settings app. The settings app is just for the system settings, the Android settings, or whatever else we use. Seems that killed the party.
Oh no, I mean I'm listening. You know, I'm hoping more people will have other opinions as well. You know, at the end of the day, it's a personal preference at the end of the day, right? To me, I think from a user perspective, I think this is perfect from a user perspective. At least that's what I think, right? And that's why we need to engage more people to see what they think. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, the more people that you know, speak out, let us know what works better, then, you know, we'll have a better, more educated decision to make than just thinking, hey, I'm right or you're right or whatever, you know.
One of the first things we said when we created the menu was to have the fewer items possible at the first level on the left. So we can expand, but it fits in the phone. It's super simple. There are like 5 choices. That might be like today 6 or 7, I don't know. But the goal was like, yeah, we have 5 choices. It's grouped, and then we can scroll. Well, we can drill down to find the thing. What I see here is that I will discuss why is AuditTrail the first level? Why is workflow the first level? Why search first level? Unless search is really a big feature of the site, okay. But like content, nobody will say anything against content probably, because that's the main thing. Main menu and blog, they are probably added because it's the recipe that adds them, because it's a blog recipe. But yeah, I will discuss why AuditTrail and workflows are there. Maybe they should be in the building tools or designing the site, and maybe it should be under design, and but it should not be designed as in the templates and the design of the site. It's more like designing a site in terms of features and behaviors, and maybe workflows will be there, templating, queries, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, the goal is really to have a minimum set of first level items and then expand there. Security makes sense.
And that didn't change, just so you know.
Yeah,
I mean, this is the only thing changed on the top menu is that instead of it saying configuration, now it's say tools.
We should think about why AuditTrail and workflows are there. Security, I think, should be a first level. I don't know if search should be the first level. Maybe it should be second level or something. The fact that there is a tools and settings or whatever, yes, sure, we need something to extend on configuration or tools, or maybe we need maybe we need settings and tools. I think that's what Sultan said.
Yeah,
something like
that. I think grouping settings into a single space makes a lot of sense. It's very confusing to have it separated for each feature, especially the authentication settings, which are per site. I don't think we need a new menu for that, but grouping them all together under configurations or settings.
Well, who has the GitHub, Google, Meta, Microsoft, and all? Usually you have one or two, right?
Yes, and even if you just have one. I was always looking under configuration settings for this, and I always was wrong in the beginning. Now I'm used to it, but I think it makes more sense to have them grouped into a single spot. That's the only thing I would consider to change. And some minor things like having the GraphQL editor under configurations also very confusing. Should be under search, but
and it's interesting because to me it's like a website design, like configure. You know what I mean? Like building tools.
Yeah,
GraphQL, the graph, like let's build the GraphQL query.
That's true, and therefore the tools would be very much the solution. I think.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, like tools. When I see tools, I really
think
about
settings is the only one which bothers me really, and there I second Mike's opinion. I mean, not having a new menu on the right, but grouping them together.
So do we agree all that we need to separate tools and settings / configuration?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
if you want to add this.
Separate what? I'm sorry?
Tools and settings / configuration.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I would even have, I would move setting completely like here somewhere.
That's it. Yeah, that's okay. But we can decide on what we agree for now. So yeah, so today we have what? We have settings and configuration. That would be great to have the current state also on the same screen, just to see the differences.
Yeah.
If you don't, that's okay. We can also do that next week if you want. Time, but just to see what goes where.
5 second instance real quick. Just run it. So today we have the configuration at root, and then inside there's a settings, and then the settings have another submenu. So it's like one layer at second, third, and it goes on and on.
The issue is that we added more and more features over time, so people had to find a spot to put it somewhere. Like the new URL rewriting, it's a site building feature.
Yes, and currently it's under configuration and that.
Yeah, because when I I'm biased because probably it also help about designing choosing the configuration word. So to me, it's like configuring the site is about designing the site, like workflows, URL rights, all these things. Like it's active configuration of the site. Settings, it's more something like it's static, like this page you have today, the site settings, and probably that's where it's coming from.
We can keep the configuration and have the settings the same as now, but add all the different settings under it. That would be fine for me.
So here's I can't expand everything here, but
so there is configuration, and then there is settings, and probably settings was just for the settings screens.
And look at that
feature.
And localization, and then it goes on and on. So like you have 1, 2, 3 layers. Which to me, this is, I don't know.
Maybe you can put settings up, but settings, there should be a localization section for settings for sure. And then it could have many things for localization, like cultures, data, strings, maybe more things probably.
By the way, tasks there is also something that I would put under tools, just as GraphQL.
What? Can you repeat that?
Tasks, the tasks menu with the background tasks. I would probably also add under tools.
Tools, okay.
And GraphQL too.
Agreed. A lot of these things should be under tools. Tasks, recipes.
Yeah, so maybe we should start from the top and redefine, add, remove the top sections, just because top sections should be able to include anything we want to add. So if we have examples of things that don't match, then we should add it.
So here's another example of previous settings too.
I agree, but
security and then settings.
But if these are security settings, do you put them under security or do you put them under settings with the security tab? So it's a choice. It's about what's the first level we have. If we have a first level called security, then there is no reason to add the security under settings. Or you could say, if we have settings and security, where do you put the setting security? The security settings under security, under settings. Or maybe we should not have security, and security should just be a setting because.
Instead of giving you the choice to make, right, put all the settings, so you don't have to think about it. If it's settings, it goes under settings. Very simple. If you're looking for settings, you're not guessing. Oh, where logically did they put it? Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Go to the settings.
Then we need a configuration because some things are not. Otherwise, everything is settings. Content type is settings.
Well, I mean, if it's settings, if it's part of the module, the settings module, where you specify a group, right? Site setting, those are settings. Those are like site settings, right? Everything you store in there goes in site settings. So that's site settings. If you have, anything else, then you can put it under tools. So you can put it somewhere else.
Under security settings, what's there?
Security, right here. Settings. So HTTPS. And that's why I personally like about having it here, because here you can still say security settings, right? You have your HTTP, you have all the settings that you need to right here under the security tab.
Well, I can repeat word by word what you said. On the left, under security, you have all your things, and that doesn't convince me that it is a new menu. We have a menu on the left; it's just another level if you want.
Well, yeah, I mean, my issue with the menu on the left is just it has a lot. It's easy to get lost. It just has so much in it. If I can move the settings to a separate page and make them, searchable and whatever I have to do to improve it, I think it makes a lot of sense, because now I click a button that takes me to settings of my site, and I can control my settings, and I can search my settings.
But again,
so
you're
that's
just saying what we can do today. We can search, and we have settings on the left, and you are not more or less. I am not more or less confused by another menu than just seeing it when I click on the menu on the left.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's beneficial to
If
it,
we need
because
to
now
group
it
and
says
to move stuff in the view instead of the menu with new tabs or others, maybe. But we have, I think, enough visual elements to render whatever we want. We just need to find them places. Yeah. I will start from the top and try to work on redefining the big sections and to move things around before trying to say, oh, let's create another thing to fix that. I would say, let's try to fix it with what we have today, because it's not disrupting. Agreeing on the fact that we need to reorganize because we have many things, but let's start by reorganizing. Maybe it will make more sense, and then do another pass maybe and say, okay, it doesn't work, or it works. Like,
I mean, anybody that has a better idea, they can go to that issue and put whatever structure they think will be or will make more sense to them. You can do that today. You just go in there and just post whatever structure you think our menu should look like. This is more of a prototype that, of a concept that I can just like throw out there.
That's great. Good thing to discuss about the thing. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah,
it's recorded. Anyone can comment on that and add their opinions and suggestions about changing your thing. Mine will be the top level, how to reorganize the top level, because it doesn't fit in everything we have. Sultan.
Me too. And I just think that we are a little bit too early with this discussion, because even moving the menu items around, I would consider a breaking change. Also,
for sure. That would be breaking 3.0.
Yeah, so probably should have this discussion in like a year when we are at 3.0.
It could be next month.
Right.
Well, we can decide, of course. I just wouldn't do it next month.
That's a side discussion. Like, does major version, is it implied because we have major breaking changes, or do we just to make breaking changes when we decide to ship a major version, like every year, right? Like, if we decide to ship 3 next year, then we have to wait for next year for making changes or target this branch. Or if we decide, oh, let's make a breaking change, then we ship 3.0. So
if we're able to release one major every year, that'll be awesome, right? But at the same time, we can release more minors than we can release major, right? But at the same time, maybe we just have so many things that we want to get in that maybe it's just time to release a major as well, and then we just
Node.js, what's
also
the
depending
of Node.js today? It's like 24, so I don't even know. It's like 20 something. Not because they are waiting to ship a big change every year. It's just they are using semantic versioning. If everything they ship has a breaking change, every time they ship it will be a major version. That's just a number. If int32 is limited at 2 billion, well, we can go to 2 billion. It's not a dot issue. It's just about semantic versioning and not breaking change. Not major features are being added, because we could add a major feature and just call it 2.1 if it's not breaking. So I would just saying maybe we don't want to wait 1 year to ship a major version. I'm not opposed to, if people think we should not ship major versions that often, that's fine. I'm just saying I'm not opposed personally to shipping more major. But breaking people is bad, right? So that's why I'd like to understand also why changing the menu is breaking technically. With the localization, changing the words is important for localization, because people will see stuff in their language that will break them. Do we care about? I shouldn't care about the the names also, because we use that to point submenu items. Like if we start moving stuff, will there be some things that won't appear correctly in the menu?
Yeah, so if you have your own module, that you will have to change your navigation providers, you have to update your documentation, your screenshots and whatnot.
Yeah, we need to see what's possible without breaking stuff. Like if we can move a big section, nobody will be impacted. That would be great. If we can create a section and move stuff that we own, that would be great also. Okay, so time for feedback on the issue. Happy feedbacking, everyone. Until the next meeting. Questions, comments, other topics? Cool. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On Thursday, bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye everyone.